So in this video, I will do what I promised and show you that Kexec can also work, without a distro. In this case, I will use busybox, and I will also use a demonstration on QEMU of arm64. Now, this is a pretty good demonstration because I'm using the default kernel configuration of kernel 6.15. It came out a couple of days ago. And because it's so huge, it includes a lot of devices and it will work on a lot of real devices. So if you did some server development with ARM64, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm using like the vert parameter, so we'll have like a device tree there. And what I'm going to show here is some kexec and kdump configuration here. Okay, so let me just run it and forget about this, about like the graphic window. I did not attach any storage device, and if you saw like the previous PscgDuildOS systems, then you know that it's looking for like an installation CD by default, or it's not like an existing image and so on. But the important thing here is that this is like a busybox system, okay? And it's also like a very recent one, built yesterday, today. I just built it actually. They actually fixed it a couple of days ago. It's just so late, so tired. I'm not going to record like without a note. And we can see that like the size of the RAM disk is it's pretty huge, okay? Like this one. And the reason for that is that I put here kernel, okay? I don't need a device tree really because the virt machine, it provides it. So if I don't provide a device tree in ARM64 and RISC-V where Kexec also works, although it uses some different parameters for a word reason, like you need to give it in -init and not like a -RAM disk. Then you can see like it's firmware FTT, which you can just pull and then provide a device tree. And you can see now the device tree like with a different node. That's how it goes. So what I'm going to do, first let me just crash it, okay? So I'm going to echo C proxy circuit trigger. It's crashing. You can take a look like at the dump stack. We can see we have like an exception level 0, and then the system calls and CSRQ will crash and panic. I talked about it like in the meetup, and you also have it. I mean, you could auto-translate it like from Hebrew if you wanted to. Okay. So this is panicking, this is stuck. That's so good. Now, let me show you again the parameters. We have here like this crash kernel 256, which means I have enough space reserved for the crash kernel. So now I'm going to boot this fellow. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go to more kernels. I just copied it there, okay? You can see here, I think I mentioned it's huge, but we can see that it really is huge. And the RAM disk itself, this is why I like that everything like together is pretty big, which is fine. There are also like other executables, that's fine. I mean, normal RAM disk, you could get out of it with much less. And you could also, if you wanted to, you could build. I mean, I built Kexec with the libc, but you could also build it with muscle, and it decreases it significantly. I put like this static build project in my GitHub. You can just use the tuple of muscle whatever, and it will work. I tested with a couple of architectures, but I did not push the static there because we need to like pre-prepare across toolchains for that, and I'm not doing it. I just did it like for meetup. So like if we look at let's say let's say Kexec, so it's like 844 kilos. For x86 it would be like over 1 mega, and for x86 with muscle, like it can be like 200k, stripped and static loading, which is pretty nice. So now I'm going to load the image, dash run this. And it's run fast, and I'm going to reuse a command line. You already saw what a command line is, but let me just show it to you. That's how it was. Okay. So I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to crash the kernel. Sysrt trigger. So it will now panic, but if things go well, it will reboot, and it did reboot. Okay, we had like the panic, like the crash dump. Okay, it's telling us starting crash dump kernel by. This comes like from the kernel sources that I showed, at least like on the slide. So now if I see what's going on, I will see proc VM core. Okay, and I can use the VM core v message on this core dump file, and that its name is VM core. And then I see like the same things. Okay, I also see like the entire like kernel log buffer there. So it's pretty nice. All right, it's nice. It's working, and it's good. It just works. And I can also like load the kernel, another kernel like with -e, and then operate something else, which is pretty nice. So this is it. Basically, in some architecture, it will give you more, like on x86, it will give you some more pointers on the crash kernel. It will add some more parameter files. On some architecture it does it, others it does not. And like if you look like at the proc VM core, just like I explained like in the video, it's going to be like the size going to be like the entire ROM. Okay, so yeah, and so like we have like this free -m. I will reboot it and I'll show like the ROM. The ROM is 4 gig, but look at this, like the entire memory, like it says 227. All right, like if I look like -g, it will tell me like 0. So this something actually did not address in the meetup. I only addressed it in some questions I showed. But if I go now and like do the reboot and I look what it is. Like we have like the 4 gigs, we have the exact same size of the core. So this should explain it for you. And just to be like, just for the sake of completion, like if I went ahead and did, I could load out the kernel as well. Like image, sorry, -l, image, RAM disk would be init run CPIO, and then if I go, let's do reuse command line, I can add my own things, you know, can do whatever, and then I can do kexec -e, and that's an result like to jump to another kernel, but then will not have like the VM core. So that's what I wanted to show here, and I mean, I hope it is pretty obvious that we can boot other kernels from Kexec. I showed it on the meetup, but perhaps I will show with this same mechanism, like how I boot, for example, my distro kernel when I build another kernel. Maybe I'll make another video like that. I don't know if it's interesting. Yeah, so that adds to the discussion. And if you just wanted to like watch the meetup video, but it was in Hebrew and you did not have like successful automatic translation, then this gives you something to look and hear that you can also connect like to the site. So that's it.